Good evening, everyone. Welcome back, Achaean families. All right, I'd like to take a moment and go through some quick notes before we get started. First, if you would please keep your microphone on mute to limit background noise. You're welcome to have your video feature on or off. We do understand that you have other things going on as you are at home, and that's completely fine to turn it on or off. This session is being recorded for those who are not able to attend. We will email out and post a link to the video and the slides on our website. Parents, guardians, and students are encouraged to listen in. Please use the chat feature for questions sessions at the end by typing them in the chat box and submit them at the end. So if you have something and you want to make sure that you don't forget that question, type it, but please don't hit submit, as we want to be sure to answer everybody's question. And if you wait to the end, we will make sure that we get an opportunity to answer you. Also, we want to let you know that if we are able to transition to our hybrid model, that includes in-person instruction, we will have another orientation at that time. Our agenda for this evening, we're going to start with introductions and updates. Then we're going to move into our virtual learning plan. We'll talk about our lunch status application, and then some key and upcoming dates, and finally, question and answers. So some of you may have not met me yet. My name is Tanika Holden Flynn, and I will be serving as interim head of school for Heron this year. Just want to give you a little bit of information about myself. I grew up in a very small area called Mercer County, Pennsylvania. If you actually see that small little red dot there, the city that I grew up in is called Farrell, and that's there. I had a really great childhood, and I had an excellent community of people that supported me, people that really believed in me and invested in me as an individual. After leaving Mercer County, I ended up going to Youngstown State University in Ohio for undergrad. While I was there, I earned a bachelor's degree in secondary education, integrated social studies, as well as political science. And then I moved to the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and I became a history teacher. One of my favorite content areas to teach is world history. I just love learning about different cultures and how they connect us all. After teaching for 3 years, I decided to go and get a master's degree. I did that at Johns Hopkins University. I got a master's in education administration. Once I finished that, I immediately began working on my doctoral degree at Howard University. During that time, I also got my first job as a school administrator, and while doing that, I met my husband. His name is Jalaire. We've been married for 6 years now, and last year we had a baby girl. Her name is Jordan, and she will be 1 at the end of this month. And this is my family, my mother and my sister, who always have my back and always support me and are a huge part of my life. And last, I just wanted to include a little bit of personal information about myself. I am a huge Bravo fan and will watch anything that comes on that channel in my free time. Definitely enjoy that. All right, I want to take a moment to introduce our new teachers. This year, joining our arts department, we have Ty Stover. And joining our humanities department, we have Alexandria Gribble, Laura Spicer, Amy Parker, and Tatum Thiemann. Also, Molly Bishop, Jim Quirk, and Tina Byers. Joining our math department, we have Akash Arora, And we also have a student teacher joining us this year, Mr. Tim Tasker. Joining our World Languages Department, we have Carmen Paul Garcia. And I will pass it over to our Assistant Head of School team to introduce themselves.
Hi, I know some of you, a lot of you, but my name is Rochelle Klinger. I am one of our assistant heads of school. I've been at Heron. I'm entering my 10th year, and I started as a physics teacher. And I am entering my 3rd year as assistant head of school. And I am looking forward to getting to interact, even though it's virtually, with students and find creative ways to connect with you guys and help you guys connect to each other as well. So looking forward to it.
Hello, good to see you all again. This is Mr. Westerfeld, also assistant head of school. This is my 4th year in that position as assistant head of school. I joined ICS when it was Heron High School back in the fall of 2007. I am very committed to Heron High School and our core values and love seeing all of you students, and I'm very excited for the day we can invite you back to campus again. Give it over to our Dean of Students.
Is Bree here right now?
Yes, she is. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute myself. My apologies, everyone. I'm Bree Anderson. I will be the Dean of Students at Heron High School. So this is my 1st year at Heron. So I'm really looking forward to get to know you all. Obviously virtually, but like Atticus and Rochelle said, can't wait to be back in the building and see you all in person as well.
Welcome, Ms. Anderson. We are really looking forward to having you.
Absolutely. Just so you guys, many of you know what our office oversees, but generally attendance, engagement, our school culture, extracurriculars except for athletics, student leadership and discipline are all things that our office deals with, as well as a number of odds and ends when we need some logistical assistance anywhere in the building. We often do that as well.
Okay. All right. Do we have any of our counselors on this Zoom call?
All right, sorry, I was having the same unmute challenges. So yes, at the counseling department, we are here to oversee academics, scheduling, college and career readiness, internships, 504 plans, social emotional needs for the students. I'm Jenny Kiefer. I cover 9th through 11th grade, last names A through K. And really excited to see everybody, even if it is virtually again.
And I am Julia Weck. I am the other half of the alphabet for grades 9 through 11, L through Z. So the majority of you are under my caseload. I'm super, super excited to get to work with you all again. Of course, can't wait to see you in person, hopefully again soon. And please feel free to reach out to me whenever you need to.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Piotrowski, and I'm filling in for Shelby Briggs as a 12th grade counselor working with students on social emotional counseling.
Right. All right. We just want to give a special thank you to you ladies, as you guys always have an extremely difficult job, but specifically this time of year, there's so much to get done. So thank you for all you're doing.
Hi there. I'm Ed Rowe. I'm the Director of College and Career Readiness. Looking through all the people on this call today, I've seen a few familiar names. I have met this summer with over 130 senior families so far, all via Zoom Meets and Google Meets and stuff like that. I am in charge of academics for seniors primarily, but I'm also, and I spend a lot of my time supporting our seniors in their search and application process for college. I talk to our seniors about career decisions that they're going to have once they're done with high school or once they're done with college. And then I also spend a good deal of time working on curriculum for, oh, thank you, Olivia Puckett. That's so nice. I spend a good deal of time working on curriculum for 9th through 11th grade in terms of college and career readiness. So I sort of work at the back end of your students' time at Heron mostly, but by the time they're seniors, you will get to know me pretty well. I have been at Heron for, this is year 13 for me now, I think. Since 2008, I was a Latin teacher. I was the World Language Department Chair for about 6 years, I guess. And this is my 3rd year starting on this particular role. So it's good to see you all, and it's good to see some students too.
All right. And then also, we don't want to forget Miss Jane Hagenauer, who is our registrar. And And just a few notes on schedules. So schedules are being built based on requests that students made in their scheduling meetings in the spring and their final grades, and also summer academy. Please note that the state has decided that rising 11th graders will take ISTEP in the spring. In alignment, some juniors will have a college and career readiness course on their schedule, and that will help them prepare for that assessment. Student schedules will be emailed out a few days before August 17th. This is in lieu of our regular scheduled pickup day. So please note again that it will be emailed to you. Schedules will be emailed and you don't need to come and pick it up. Questions or concerns about your student's schedule can be addressed to their school counselor. Their counselor and their email addresses are listed here. I will go over them quickly. Jay Kiefer at heronhighschool.org. Again, that's if your student is a 9th grader, 9th through 11th grader with the last name beginning with A through K. If it's a 9th through 11th grader, last name beginning with L through Z, it's going to be Jay Weck at heronhighschool.org. And if you have a 12th grade student, it will be C. Piotrowski at heronhighschool.org. Our drop and add will run from August 17th through August 21st, and requests will be made via Google form. Some classes will require a parent's approval to add or drop. We want to take a moment to introduce our athletic director, Ms. Joanna Wiggins. If you have information about fall sports, please contact her. Her email address is listed there, jwiggins at heronhighschool.org. Also, Dr. Sherry Anderson is our Director of Special Education, and Ms. Shannon Hasper is our Director of Enrollment. Ms. Hasper, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
Hi, everyone. I'm just so excited to see all these returning families. Even though it is virtual, I can't wait for the day that we can all be back in person.
Thank you. All right, we are now going to dive into our virtual learning plan. So virtual learning, that's what we're going to be doing 100% as we return to school. School will begin at 9 a.m. on Monday, August 17th. We are going to reevaluate at Labor Day whether or not we feel that it is safe at that time to transition to a hybrid model. All right. If at that time we decide that we will go to a hybrid model, we would definitely have at least a week's notification before students and staff and faculty are to return to the building. We would also have another orientation for students and parents to really explain what our hybrid model will look like, as this orientation is for our virtual model. We are tracking local COVID data very closely, the Marion County Health Department, as well as the CDC guidelines. We have also surveyed our faculty and staff, as well as our families, to help us make informed decisions about everyone's safety and what will be best in terms of virtual or hybrid instruction. Our virtual learning schedule appears here. And so we will continue to be on a block schedule. We will still have A days and B days. Monday and Thursday, students will have their A day classes. And on Tuesday and Friday, they will have their B day classes. Wednesday will be an independent work day. Students will have independent work they need to do. Teachers will have office hours, and students will be expected to check in if they need support or assistance. Also, if you look at our schedule, there is a 15-minute transition time in between each period. There's also an hour lunch break. Students will not need to attend their seminar class unless they are scheduled for a resource or an English language seminar class. Otherwise, during that seminar block, they will be able to work on assignments that they have received from their other classes. Our virtual learning class time will be a 75-minute class time. students will log on to a Zoom session at the start of each class period. Attendance will be taken. Students will begin the class with bell work or warm-up or class opener. They will also have an agenda and a to-do list so that they know what's going to be coming up throughout that class session. Teachers will provide live instruction through support, discussion, and supervision for at least 60 minutes of that 75-minute class period. Students may have independent work time to complete within the 75 minutes and as homework. So this is an example of what your Google Classroom link to join will look like. So you will receive an email asking you to join your Google Classroom. And so as you can see here where it clicks, where you see join in blue, you would click on that. Again, you do have to use your Heron High School email address, and then you will have access to that Google Class once you click join and register. We will continue to have advisory classes. Advisory will meet on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It will be from 9 to 9:15 a.m. Attendance will be taken in advisory. We will also be using that time to provide any general announcements and information about club sports or any other extracurricular activities. We'll also be using it to do some team building and social emotional learning support will take place during that time. So Google Classroom, again, we will be using Google Classroom this year, and it is replacing Haiku, so we will not use that at all, just Google Classroom, along with a few other databases that we'll talk about shortly. But each class will have a Google Classroom homepage, and students and parents will receive invitations via email. And so the page we just looked at about 2 slides ago shows you what that's going to look like. So you're going to click join, and then with your Heron High School email address, you will be able to join that page and sign up. Once you've joined that page, you will have access to daily agendas, links to your assignments, and class resources will also be there. And so this is an example of once you've actually joined the class, you'll have access to this page. And you'll be able to actually click on these links above, the classwork and people, and it'll show you the classwork assignments as well as the other students that are in your class. So this is an example of when you click on classwork. Teachers will list assignments here for students. Students will then be able to click on those assignments. They'll click on that link and actually complete the assignment from there. We will also be using a Zoom platform for virtual learning for daily class sessions. Our clubs will also use Zoom to meet and meetings that we have. Students are not going to be required to get a Zoom account. We will put links for Zoom directly on Google Classroom pages. We will also utilize Edpuzzle. This is a platform where teachers upload instructional videos and add comprehension questions. Teachers can view student progress and the time that they spent on the video and their responses through Edpuzzle. This is just an example of what Edpuzzle looks like. This is a screenshot of Edpuzzle, and then you see the question over here. So students would log on and they would have to answer these questions and submit their responses. All right. And we will continue to use PowerSchool this year, and I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Westerfield to provide some more information about PowerSchool.
Yeah, and many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with PowerSchool, but as we continue learning in this remote fashion, PowerSchool is going to be a really important way for us as a school to communicate with families and students regarding their performance in their classes, and houses almost all the information that we have about you and your students in PowerSchool. And so if you haven't logged into PowerSchool previously, we want to talk through how you can do that. It's where that you can see your student schedule, and you'll be provided with your login information at that time when your student schedule is sent to you prior to the first day of school around August 15th. If you weren't aware of the website that you need to go to in order to view PowerSchool, the URL is here above. It is powerschool.com/public. If you have not logged on before, it's really important that you click create account. So if you click this tab, it'll allow you to create an account and connect you to your student in our PowerSchool system. If you have already created a PowerSchool account, you can use your username and password that you've used from before and enter that information in the sign-in, and you won't need to do anything further for this year. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware how to do that. PowerSchool is really important because it allows real-time access for families regarding your students' grades, attendance, log updates, and fee balances, so that you're aware of kind of all the information we have about your student here at the school. Once again, each family you will have a login. If you've already logged in before, you can use that exact same login that you did previously. If you haven't viewed PowerSchool before, once you log in, this is a screenshot of what it will look like. The navigation pane is on the left-hand side, and the first thing that you might be interested in clicking would be grades and attendance to see a summary of your students' grades throughout for all of their classes. And so each grade is there available for your student's class, where it's circled, the C+ is circled, those are your grades. If you want to see more of your student's grade and understand why it is composed the way it is and what assignments your student might be missing or did poorly on or did great on, you can click each one of those grades, and when you click that grade, you'll be taken to the next screen, which will be a summary of that class grade. You'll see the due date here on the left-hand side, the category, whether it's mastery or practice or a final exam or benchmark, and then a summary of the assignment, and then your student's score and grades for those assignments for each assignment in your student's class. For virtual learning, we want to make a couple of updates. As we have done in the past, while we've been in this situation with COVID, we are starting the year virtual learning, and so we are going to allow students to earn a credit for a letter grade of D. However, it isn't really important that parents know that students pursuing an academic honors diploma cannot use those Ds that they might be awarded for 60 to 69% towards the graduation requirements for the academic honors diploma here in Indiana. Students also will have 3 late passes per quarter, which is greater than they had prior to COVID. And so students will have 3 late passes per quarter. That's up from 2, except in AP classes where they'll have 1 that is still actually greater than they have usually. We will also utilize our regular semester grade percent structure at this point. So how we structure our grades as far as 70% mastery and 30% practice will also be a part of our grading system as we move into this semester. For attendance, if you are interested in seeing your attendance history for your student, that's on the navigation pane on the left where it says attendance history, and that will provide a history of the entire quarter of your students, or sorry, the entire semester of your students' attendance, where the codes in, for example, AAU is absent unexcused. You'll find a summary of the codes and what each one means down at the bottom of this page, just below here, below your students' attendance. Just to update you on our virtual attendance policy, we do understand that that people have different clocks. It's not like our bell, which is on time for everybody here at the school, but we understand that students may have something that's going on in their life at home that might make them a little bit late. So teachers' classrooms on Zoom will have a grace period of 5 minutes. They'll be open 5 minutes prior to the beginning of the period and allow students in, and students have a 5-minute grace period after the beginning of the class to arrive present and on time. Students that arrive more than 5 minutes after the beginning of the period would be marked TU, or tardy unexcused, by their teacher. And students that are not present on the Zoom call after 20 minutes, and they're not visible or verbal or chatting at all while on their Zoom call, and we are not aware of kind of them being on the call or engaged, those students would be marked absent unexcused. And based on that, and also you are welcome to notify us as well if your student, for some reason, a technological reason, because they're sick or for some reason need to be away from their computer, you are welcome to email us at attendance@heronhighschool.org or by calling our phone number to notify us of your student's attendance. That would be critical so that we can update their attendance and you do not receive notifications if your student is marked absent unexcused. So students who are marked absent unexcused after that 20-minute mark, families will receive a notification, email and text alert to notify you that your student has not appeared to their Zoom class at that time. That would happen for each period of the day that your student is not present in their Zoom. And so as we review attendance data, the assistant heads of school, Ms. Klinger and I, and Ms. Anderson will be reaching out to families with our attendance concerns and working to engage families and make sure that technology barriers, other barriers are not preventing students from receiving an education. Power School fees are also present in Power School. If you go to the balance tab right here on the left-hand side on the navigation pane, you can see any balance for fees that you might be charged for students, textbooks or other items, lunch from previous years, or if we go back to school, that's where you can find those items as well. Log updates in Power School are also visible in Power School, and so log updates are one way that we communicate with students and their parents. In addition to our phone calls and emails, we have two different types of entries: commendations for students who are going above and beyond and doing great things and are positive contributions to our community, and also corrective log entries. And those corrective log entries happen when students are not meeting the universal behavior policies that we have that you guys are probably aware of from the past years. Our universal behavior policies are still very important, even in this virtual realm where we create our culture as well. They're here to make sure that your student is safe emotionally and physically, as well as having high expectation and creating positive relationships with our students. We provide our families with updates on how well students are meeting those expectations, and those are our log updates, which can be found in Power School. The four kinds of universal behavior, or four of the universal behavior policies that are really going to be important for our virtual program is going to be showing respect for people, property, and the learning process, remaining awake and alert and engaged in class, and using school appropriate and responsible language and communications online, as well as coming to class prepared to learn. And all four of those things we're going to be communicating to families regarding students meeting those expectations, and when they have gone above and beyond to meet those expectations, we'll be notifying you with our commendations as well. It is important that you know that if a student arrives late to class during our virtual setting, students will not be notified by email by their teachers as far as through a log update. Instead, they will be notified by those automatic attendance notifications. And so students and parents will receive those notifications through text and email, engaging them as to why they are not in attendance or are tardy to their class Zooms. Teachers and assistants, heads of principals will of course reach out if there are patterns or concerns regarding attendance or not meeting those universal behavior policies. If you also would like to have access to PowerSchool on your phone, PowerSchool does have an app that you can absolutely download. And the district code for Heron High School, if you download the PowerSchool app, is PFCL. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. So if you want, you can go ahead and copy and paste it somewhere if you need to. Also, we really want you to be able to customize your notifications from the school. We understand that families have different situations and different occupations and different availability and a different ability to be notified by PowerSchool. You can personalize those settings inside of PowerSchool and talk about what kind of information you'd like to receive. If you'd like to receive a notification anytime a fee is applied on PowerSchool, or anytime that there's a school announcement or an attendance report. All of those things can be customized in PowerSchool so that you can customize your needs for your students' communication. And then I'll go ahead and pass it back to Dr. Holden Flynn.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Westerfield. So just want to provide a little more information about our virtual learning Wednesdays. So Wednesdays, teachers will have office hours. So they will have drop-in sessions. So every teacher will have at least 1 hour where they're just available for any student who would like to drop in. During this time, students can ask questions and get assistance with anything that they may need. They will also have a time where they can schedule one-on-one appointments with the student, where a student will actually go in and schedule that and then have that time designated to meet with that teacher. So regular schedule and links will be released where students can go ahead and sign up for those appointments. On Wednesdays, we'll also be using that time for club meetings, as well as relationship building and culture building activities. It is a time for students to do independent work. It definitely is still a school work day and students should be working. We really want them to really use this time productively to, one, follow with teachers and get clarification when they need it, and then also to do independent work and to make sure that they are able to turn in all of their assignments on time. And just a few keys for success with virtual learning. It's really important to find a designated place where students can work consistently, a place that's quiet and appropriate. Also, we want to make sure that students and their family, parents and guardians are checking in regularly on their attendance and their academic progress. You want to use those tools that we just went over in PowerSchool to assist you with that for those updates. You want to make sure that you are using those office hours on Wednesdays and seeking assistance when you need it. And of course, reaching out to anyone that you need help from, whether it be teachers, your advisory teacher, school counselors, any of our school administrators. Virtual learning and academic integrity. In a season of virtual learning, we are committed to setting our students up for success. Students must put all answers in their own words and never copy and paste from a website. If they are allowed to use outside resources, students must cite that source accurately, whether they are referencing the source directly or indirectly. Teachers may use a plagiarism check program or websites to collect student assignments. Students with questions on challenging content are encouraged to attend office hours or small group support. Our virtual learning student connection, while we definitely long to be together in person, we will be continuing our extracurricular activities and modifying them to meet the virtual space. So virtual learning day 1, students and parents and guardians will receive an email with their students' finalized schedule and directions of how to log into each Zoom class. This will come out around the 15th of August. Students and parents will receive email invitations to each Google Classroom the student is in. So a student must use their heronhighschool.org email address to log in. Click the link to join your advisory class on day 1. You'll do this between 8:55 and 9 a.m. Then you're going to follow your A-day schedule for the rest of Monday, August 17th. Lunch status application and fees. So every family needs to fill out an application every year, regardless of your previous year status, unless you receive a letter from the state stating that you are directly certified. Directions on how to fill out the application online or a paper copy will be emailed and mailed. Lunch status, free, reduced, direct certified, or full pay impacts lunch costs, and also your textbook fees, technology rental, and the school's funding formula. Deadlines for your application is September 28th. Not completing an application by this date defaults a student to full pay. Textbook fees are not emailed out until October. And free and reduced lunch students will still have a small fee that will not be covered by the state. Some of our key upcoming dates, we have technology drop-off, which should have happened. And if you haven't done that, we please urge you to do it as soon as possible. If your student borrowed technology last year or over the summer, please turn it in. You can reach out to our help desk at helpdesk@heronhighschool.org to schedule a return time. Technology pickup. This week, you should be receiving, if you have not yet, an email. In that email, you will find an agreement about our technology and also our internet policy. You will be indicating whether or not your student is going to use their own technology or be renting from us. If your student is renting from us, the pickup times are here. That's Thursday, August 13th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Heron High School. And then also Friday, August 14th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our textbook pickup is scheduled for Wednesday, August 26th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Heron High School. We have purposely scheduled the textbook pickup for after the ad drop date to ensure that students are getting the appropriate books. All right, and at this time, we will take any questions that you may have.
If you would type your questions in the chat, that would be helpful. And there are a few of us that will look for those questions rather than people unmuting and trying to talk over one another. And to begin, I have, if students have difficulty connecting on Zoom, will there be a way for a student to reach out to their teacher in an alternative method?
Yes, so we...
So
Go ahead, Ms. Clinton.
So yes, definitely we want to make sure that if there's some kind of issue, we can help to either resolve it, or if it is like something that's not going to get fixed right that moment, that we can help get access to the course material. And so the first thing that we would want students to do is to reach out to their teacher over email to say like, hey, having some trouble, like wanted to let you know, but also as a parent, what we really ask, the key is communication. And so we don't want you getting notifications saying your kid isn't here if you know they're not there and you're trying to struggle with technology and things like that. So if you can get a hold of our absence line, either by phone or at attendance@heronhighschool.org right away, and let us know that your student isn't there and that it's because of a technology problem, then they can help to loop in our tech team, or we can help to connect the student with the teacher in another way.
Okay, we have device rental. You should have gotten the form today, although I'm not sure that went out. So can anyone?
I think it was going to go out or went out this evening, like potentially during this call.
Okay.
If you don't have it by midday tomorrow, I would reach out, but yeah, that is in the works as we speak.
Okay. Will parents be able to track assignments, due dates, performance, etc. in Google Classroom and/or Edpuzzle? This is very important for some of us to catch problems early.
Yes, so parents will be invited to join those Google Classrooms. That is an important piece of and why we thought Google Classroom is a valuable platform for our students and families.
We've gotten this question a couple times. Will students need to have the video on at all times during class?
So yes, our primary request is that students have their video on. We understand that there are things like maybe there's some stuff happening in the background or something, or you need to get up to get a drink and you want to put it on like video off, which I actually just did to plug my computer in a minute ago. But what we've seen between like staff to staff and teachers to students during Q4 and especially during summer school is that those nonverbal like facial expressions and things like that really help to engage, build relationships, and help teachers understand like how a student's doing both with content and just like as a human being, which of course is like our primary concern. So we are going to ask that video is on for that.
Okay. This one I can answer. If you've not received the email about needing to rent, should we reach out? Yes. And this is very important, especially during this time. If you have not been regularly receiving emails through our system, please email. You can email enrollment at Heron High School. That's probably the easiest one to do, and we will make sure we update your information in our system. So if you haven't gotten the rental agreement, if they don't come out in the next day or two, please email enrollment at Heron High School to make sure we have your correct information. What's the criteria for allowing the hybrid model and letting students return to in-person learning?
So in terms of our criteria for that at this time, we are closely aligning to the Marion County Health Department and also the CDC. We will continue to survey our faculty and staff as well as families, and that is the information that we will be using to make those decisions.
And also, and I'm just going to tag this on to the end of that we are all virtual right now. So someone just asked that the hybrid classes are not available right now. We are all virtual, and we will be reconsidering after Labor Day. Can you advise if dual credit classes with Ivy Tech will still proceed? Is Jenny or Julia still on here to talk a little bit about that? Maybe not. Yes, as far as I know. Oh, yes. Sorry, I have to unmute Jenny Kiefer. Rochelle, can you unmute her for me?
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Yes, Ivy Tech classes will still be happening. They will be a part of your schedule just like your other classes, so you'll have a time to meet virtually with those teachers. And there's one about class sizes, and the class sizes for virtual will mimic the class sizes that you would have in school. So that way, if we transition back to hybrid, it would be a more seamless transition.
All right, I'm trying to group these together. Will you make exceptions to late assignment policy if students get sick? Yes, we will. I saw Mr. Westerfeld shake his head. Yes.
Yes, we will.
Someone asked about giving back books. If you have not given back your textbooks or technology from last year, please come by the school and do that when? Mr. Westerfeld?
So textbooks actually can be dropped off during the day at any time at this point. And so there is a bin that is outside of the Fessler entrance near the cafeteria. And so families are invited to come by and socially distance and drop off textbooks right next to the door. There's a plastic clear bin.
Will graded assignments be posted online for students to review? I am wondering if you mean the actual assignments or the grades. And if you mean the actual assignments?
Both is true.
Okay.
So grades will be posted as on PowerSchool and through Google Classroom, as well as providing feedback to students. Google Classroom has a great ability through Google Docs and other Google assignments to provide feedback for students, which is another great reason why we've now moved to Google Classroom.
On PowerSchool, is there a way for students to check their unweighted grades? Their cumulative GPA, unweighted and weighted? Does it give them the option to see both weighted and unweighted on PowerSchool?
I believe so. That's probably best for Jenny or Julia to answer. Hang on, I gotta unmute you again, I think.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know if there is on your side. If you have questions about it, Delaney, I did just email you yours. So we're happy to take a snip and send that your way if you have questions.
Oh, go ahead.
I just said thank you, Ms. Bieber.
A couple of things about the hotspots, technology, lunch fees, all of our lunch forms, all of those will be coming out in separate emails. So if you need a hotspot in addition to a laptop or a tablet, that's an option on the tech agreement. From what I understand, you can select the option to also rent or borrow a hotspot. All right. How will arts and choir classes be handled?
So currently, we are trying to be as innovative as possible with those classes. We will be using Zoom and doing Zoom breakout rooms. So students will still have some assignments where they are, supposed to sing some things. In terms of art, we are also working on putting together packages, and then we will be sending out information for students and parents to come and pick those things up. So then they will be able to take that material back home to then do some creative assignments with their teachers virtually.
Will Zoom classes or the classroom times be recorded if a student misses a class?
So we are still kind of in discussion about the best way to support students in terms of absence. When students miss a regular class period, if it was recorded, it wouldn't be the same experience, because our goal is to be engaging students and that their participation in it is key. And so our teachers will work hard to make sure that students can catch up in ways that may include watching a recording of the class, but may also include alternative activities that help them go through the same thinking process that other students have the opportunity to do.
This came up in the last parent session as well, or the new student, I think. The issue of submitting work during the summer that was not received or delivered on Google Docs. And that is something that I know we discussed with our Riverside folks, and that is being addressed. So any of you parents who had students that did Summer Academy and some assignments were lost, we are aware of that. And I know there was some worry around that. So we are discussing how that will work. And I don't know, Mr. Westerfeld or Ms. Klinger, if you have any other information about that.
So our transition to Google Classroom, part of the reason that we do that is that it allows some more seamless integration between between students and teachers in terms of those Google applications. And so teachers can actually push assignments out to students that they never lose control of, and so they can't get lost because the teacher always has them, and the student also gains access to complete the work. So we're really excited about that, and hopefully facing fewer of those kind of hiccups with technology.
We've had several questions about the going back to hybrid. If we decide to do one thing, can we change our minds? And also, so I see, Mark, you asked about carpooling. That would be something that we will resend as the form for cohorts who would need to be together. But for the question about if you can switch back and forth, could someone take that?
Sure. So if we are able to transition to a hybrid model, we would. So at that time, that'll kind of be like, we start fresh, sending out that information, and then we will also still continue with the 100% virtual option for those that choose that. So you would have an opportunity at that time to make a decision.
And yes, I think you just said that, Dr. Holden-Flynn, that if people can still choose the all virtual.
Once we go back.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I see a question, if it's okay, Lynn,
Sure.
about if our student has an appointment and we know they're going to miss, should they contact attendance? The answer is yes, because we will be sending each period if your student is not, if they are significantly late or if they are not present for their class, you will receive notification every period. And so if you know they're going to miss, we don't want that to kind of bother your day. And so we would definitely prefer that you contact us and let us know.
Let's see. There was another one down. Oh, uniforms. Did we discuss this already? I can't remember if we said you do not have to wear uniforms during during virtual learning. When we go back to hybrid, yes, we will have uniforms. There has been a change in that as well, that we are, because of the state of things and shopping, and students will not have to wear the logo pants or the logo shorts. Shorts will just need to come to the knee, and any traditional type of khakis will be okay, but we'll send that out if and when we return.
I see a question about it being a long time for them to be online, and like, are we thinking about doing more asynchronous things? So I want to just clarify that we are giving, we understand that it can be a lot of time. Students would be online, depending on if they have a seminar that day, likely anywhere from 3 hours to 4 hours a day. And we understand the tiring of that because we've been on here for 8 to 14 hours a day since March. So we get it. And so that is the reason that we're building in lots of breaks. So they get 15 minutes between every class. They get 1 hour for lunch. We definitely feel the need for those breaks and want to provide that. But we also really, really know the value and have seen the value as we increase synchronous learning over summer of students and teachers truly engaging with each other and not just passing content off and hoping it's processed the way that we need it to be.
Internships. There were several of these questions before. I have a senior son who received an email. If you were signed up for an internship, they have been put on hold for semester. If you didn't get that, I'm not sure who SA is, but please send me your name and I'll make sure that I'll forward you the email that Mr. Rowe sent. And seminar. McKinney, can you tell me what you mean by seminar? Students will not need to sign in for seminar.
Except for resource seminar or English language learners seminars where we provide those extra supports in that space. So if you're in a traditional seminar, you will not need to sign in or attend during virtual learning.
We have a couple more minutes left. If we did not cover your question, if you want to raise your virtual hand, if you press on participants and underneath the list of participants, it'll say raise hand. If we did not get to your question, you have a burning question, I'll just ask you to unmute and you can ask your question. Yes.
So far, I'm a student here in high school, and one of my questions was, where can I find the orientation for the new parents?
For new parents, we have just completed those. New parent orientation is posted on the website. If you go to heronhighschool.org to the families tab, the slides and the presentation, the Zoom recording is on there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Sean, let me see if I can unmute you.
Yeah, so you answered part of the question, but when I asked about if we can change our mind from virtual to in-person, but what I was asking is not at the time on Labor Day. I'm saying if after Labor Day you go to hybrid and we say, no, I want to stay virtual, and we get a few months into that, then could we change our mind if things look better, or if we, you know, I don't know, get antibodies, or just realize the virtual isn't working, then could we change our mind a few months into it?
So we are really still discussing what that's going to look like at this time. We want to try to be as accommodating as we possibly can. However, you know, there may be some issues with transitioning. So I don't want to commit to that at this time, but we will work through that as we get to it.
Maxwell? Let me see if I can get you to unmute. Maxwell Toombs, do you have a question?
Yes, sorry about that. So I was curious about scheduling and things like that, because I was curious if we would be able to have a more flexible class time, where we are not being micromanaged as much, and if we are able to work rather than you know, on a strict schedule on our own time, because I tend to work better that way, or at least I am more comfortable working that way.
Hi, Max. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm off video because I'm helping my dog with something, but I really appreciate your reflection on that. Part of the thing is, though, you're not just going to be sitting and working through content kind of like summer was. Instead of that, you're going to be engaging and doing activities and discussions and things like that. So I really appreciate your ability to learn on your own, but we want definitely a part of your experience to be that engagement with your peers and with your teacher. And so that's why we ask that you'll be spending the time with your teacher during the day.
Also, Max, it's really important that you understand that there will be independent work as well. So part of this is that we are wanting to increase our engagement with you as a student, from our teachers as well. We miss you guys, and we know that you guys miss the classroom experience, but also that some of you are doing well working independently too. And so this is hopefully a way that we can increase engagement with you guys as students, and you will also still be working some independently, just like you do during the traditional school year.
Okay, we have Kelly, Sally, and then Diana, and then after that, we are going to shut this down and have the rest of you email us. But Kelly, if you have a question, go ahead.
So my question is about advanced jazz band. So my son was interested in that for a class. Not knowing his schedule, I'm not sure what they've been assigned to, but I know that there was supposed to be an audition for that. Are they going to hold those auditions, or how's that going to work?
I will have to get back with you on that information.
Okay.
If you could just make sure that your information is in the chat, then I will follow up with you on that.
I submitted the question. I could email you if that's easier.
That would be very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Sally?
I actually had two questions. One, I wasn't clear on whether students need to log in on Wednesday officially, for attendance. I know if they don't have anything they need to do with the teacher, they are working independently, but do they need to log in for attendance on Wednesdays?
No, they will not need to log in unless they are just going to office hours. And I'm sorry about my dog. If they are going to office hours, their teacher will take attendance just for some accountability. So if you're at work and you need to know that your student was at office hours, they will take attendance.
Okay, and then my other question had to do with the parents also getting the Google Classroom emails for each class. My student's pretty reliable, and I know if she's getting the Google Classroom emails, I know I can count on her to log into classes. And I'm just thinking about me getting several emails a day that I don't feel like I need to get. Is that something can we opt out of that if we don't feel like we need to keep up on their child that much, or is that something we're just going to get automatically?
Yes, very much like PowerSchool, in which you can customize your notifications directly from PowerSchool. You can do the same thing for Google Classroom.
Okay.
If you choose to sign up and join the class, then you can customize it there. You can also just like completely not join the class as well.
That sounds good. Thanks.
All right, and our last one, Diana.
Last but not least. Okay, so we had some concerns about the Google Docs. We have 4 different students in a multitude of different schools, and going with the virtual in the last semester has been incredibly difficult and riddled with all sorts of issues with Google Docs. So my concern there is, you know, Ms. Klinger had mentioned that it's a pretty seamless transition, that these Google Forms, Google Docs, they don't get lost. But our experience with 4 separate students has been that when we click onto these Google Forms or Google Docs, it counts as attendance of the student having seen it, and then there's no opportunity to edit it later. So is that something to follow up with each individual teacher in regards to each individual assignment if there's an issue? Or is that something that, you know, Ms. Klinger mentioned some kinks that have been worked out. Is that worked out already? Or is that something we should follow up individually with the teachers?
Yeah, hi, Ms. Toll. We admittedly are like still in the middle of our training on Google Classroom, but I would actually love to connect with you if you'd be willing to email me and set up a time to chat, because I'd love to learn what you experienced and figure out how we can make sure that it we are proactively preventing those problems with our transition.
Sure, absolutely.
I can put my email in the chat, and I would love to connect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, that is it for the questions tonight, and I will turn it back over to Dr. Holden Flynn, and we will say good night.
Great. I just want to say thank you all so much for your time this evening. As we go through this process, just thank you for your collaboration. Please remember that we are in this together, and we will get through it. Thank you all, and good night.